What's going on, guys? Welcome back to On Base Live in your Bleacher Report app. I am your host, Mookie Betts, and today we got a 8-time All-Star.
You have to go through all that.
I know you don't like it. 8-time All-Star, 2018 World Series champion, 2024 Cy Young winner, Chris Sale. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I know you had a tough time coming through. It's hot Atlanta. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
It's starting to warm up.
I was on the West Coast for a week, so I'm not used to the humidity yet. So coming back, it got me good.
You got to get back, okay? All right, so bro, starting off, we play this game called On Base and Off Base, right? And it's whether you're in or out. And so the first one is more teams should collab with other pro teams in their city. So the Hawks and the Braves for the City Connect jerseys. What do you think?
So
the White Sox did it, which is your former team.
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I kind of like those jerseys. I know it's you're very on it or you're very off it. I kind of like it because I think that teams should support each other, right? And I think that if you got more of that, it kind of brings the sports together a little bit more.
Yeah.
So when I originally saw the jerseys, I liked the jerseys. Now, whether or not you think that might look a certain way, I don't know, but I think they look good.
I agree. I think it brings the cities together. I remember, obviously being in LA and the Lakers, and then obviously Boston and the Celtics. When you know those guys, it feels like, okay, there's some guys that are like us that are trying to bring it home to the city.
Yeah, and I think it again too, it's like the camaraderie of like pro sports. Like when we got guys that come out, like when guys are it is, and
cool.
They're coming through the clubhouse, and there's just like a mutual respect from athlete to athlete, because we don't really know exactly what they're going through, but we kind of have an idea based on like what we do.
So listen on live. So
I'm in on that.
In on it. Okay. So what about this? You could pitch a game after having 12 espressos.
Out.
You
know me. I don't need more.
So did you see Jose Alvarado?
Yeah.
How he said he drinks 12 espressos. I want to say it's 12
That's
espressos.
Probably why he's throwing 105 out there.
Hey man,
I can't do it. I need less. Like if I can't get more riled up than I already get.
So do you drink? How much coffee do you drink a day?
I have like 1 cup in the morning, and I stop in the morning.
Do you have the Starbucks app?
No.
So you're not like a go on the road and order it, because Freddie, like, he needs his coffee in the morning to get him going, and so I notice his routine is go and I see a Starbucks coffee on the where the hosts are. Yeah. When you come in, I know that's Freddie's. That's I know that's about to go up to Freddie's room. So
I'm not a coffee snob. No, not to call him out like that. But I can go hotel coffee. I just need something in the morning, on the bus ride or on the way into the yard or whatever. But no, I'm not fancy when it comes to coffee. Okay. I am about some things, but not coffee.
Okay. We'll find out what those are. What about this? You could score at least 2 points if you played a full NBA game
all day. I got that.
2 points.
I think.
So you're 6'10". What are you going to get to the lane? How are you going to get this bucket?
No, they're bigger than me. I don't know if I'm driving I don't know if I'm getting to the rack, but
you think you can knock down a three? I mean, a lefty.
I think so. Yeah.
And not to be racist, but a lefty white dude that's 6'6" has got to look at this. Look at your jumper here.
Well, okay, so this.
Maybe so not.
That was as a joke.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Okay. So if I remember correctly, he got hurt.
Yep, that's when he hurt.
So they sent me a jersey and they're like, "Hey, let's pick him up. Do something nice for him." So that was basically like I'm gonna try to take the worst possible shot, so this guy comes back, so I don't have to go play.
Okay.
But I used to play a lot of basketball in the off season, and then once I started getting older, I had to.
Yeah, the miles.
Put that on ice. But now my oldest son plays basketball, so I'm out there with him a lot.
Oh, nice. So he's coming back.
Yeah,
he's coming back.
So, competitive, but we'll mess around out there.
Okay. What about this? 100 men would win against one gorilla.
Okay.
Hey, you've seen this, obviously.
We had very extensive conversation about this on the bus 2 nights ago. So when we came in from Denver, it was 100 men versus a gorilla, 100 men versus a grizzly bear versus a lion, shark in the water. We got into it. I think if we got to hand pick the people, yes. But if you just go pick like 100 random people, I think it's just a conveyor belt of just nothing.
So you don't think 100 men could like outsmart one gorilla to get him down?
Well, the way it was presented to me is like we're in a room.
Yep.
So like if you're in a room without anything, like it's just
it's just
walls.
Nothing. Okay. Yeah.
There's no
tools. You got to like beat this dude.
Yeah, and I think if you took like 100 of the most skilled fighters on the planet, like you go to the UFC, you get Khabib, you get all the big dogs, John Jones, and put them in a room. And then I brought up the fact that Mike Tyson tried to fight
a gorilla,
but he tried to pay somebody because he saw one of them messing around. I swear. And I was like, dude, Mike Tyson in his prime might be able to go one-on-one.
But if Mike Tyson could do a one-on-one,
that's what I'm saying. I think if I think
100 men could.
Yeah, I do. But not any 100 people. It would have to be specific.
And maybe I'm just like not thinking clearly, but I'm thinking, okay, 100 men, we should be able to at least put together some type of plan.
So I think the problem is you don't have 100 people's power fighting this thing at once, because you can only have so many people on this thing at one time.
So you're probably like
and this is I can't believe we're talking about this long, but I'm telling you, when we were on the bus the other night, we were probably delirious too because it was late. we were getting into this discussion. So
okay, so
but I think so.
I want to kind of switch gears real quick. I want to talk about a little bit about last year, and you won a Cy Young. And how was that? How was going through that year? Like, was there any failure at all? Did you just cruise all year?
Yeah,
not failure, but like you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hit a couple rough patches. So, where did we start out? We started out in Philly, then we went to Chicago, came back Arizona. I think it was my third start. I went down to Miami, and it was just like kind of one of those weird day games where it was like I gave up a bunch of runs, but I still didn't like pitch bad. So I gave up 5, but I went 7. So it was
okay.
It was just like a couple lapses, like a couple weird innings, walked a couple guys. So that was like the first like misstep, and then I go through May, and I just kind of cruise through May.
How were you cruising? Like, where is it? Was it like, did you just find a mechanic or something, or what?
Yeah, it was just kind of like where when you're on a baseball field and you're not thinking a whole lot, that's the sweet spot, right? When you're just doing what you do because you know how to do it. When things are off a little bit, you start tinkering, and sometimes you can overanalyze, you can try to overperform and try to get too much, and you actually take a step back. And I think even before all that, like I had a really good off season. Getting traded, it was kind of, I've said this before, it was kind of a breath of fresh air, kind of getting a clean slate. A lot of stuff had happened in Boston with me, so I think getting to Atlanta, being able to take that like kind of an exhale for the first time. And then so May comes, I have a really good May, feeling good, and I'm like, I win pitcher of the month in May, and I'm like, all right, I might have it back.
And usually you don't pay attention to stuff like this, like you don't care.
No,
but if you noticed it, that means you were pitching like you felt like you were doing that good.
Yeah, and so it was just like start after start. I'm like, just kind of gaining ground. My first start in June was against the A's. 8 runs.
Of course.
Yeah. And it was one of those, and me, like I after a game like that, I can get kind of hot.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember after that start, it was just like a very humbling feeling, and it was like, all right, man, like just take this one off the chin and get back to it. I remember Ozuna, man, he came up to me, he's like, hey, that happens, don't worry about it, you'll get right back to it. And then after that, it was just the hardest part was just kind of maintaining my schedule and not, again, like the putting those blinders on, not paying attention to like the outside noise, because you get to a certain point in the year and people are starting to talk about things.
Oh
and
yeah, of course.
things are coming up, and even in interviews, your post game interviews, people are bringing stuff up, and you're like, man, I wish you would just shut up and let me
Yeah,
go play
yeah,
baseball.
because I mean, it's inevitable. Like,
Yeah,
there's no way to do well or do bad,
yeah,
and it not come to you.
right. And you look at like Judge right now, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing exactly what I say I don't want to do, but like, how many times does he face that every day
Oh my God,
with the
yeah,
numbers, and
yeah.
like, can he do it and all this stuff? And so it's like you just try to block that stuff out as much as possible.
And so tell me a little bit, because I'm thinking Cy Young winners, MVP winners, the greatest, right? Especially in the season or whatever, typically do like a lot of work. Like, there's a lot of work behind the scenes. And not that you don't do a lot of work, but when it comes to like game planning, watching film X, Y, and Z, that may not, from what I know, that's not necessarily like a cup of tea of yours.
No.
Like, you may watch it and understand. And I think you watch the game, watch the game as it unfolds. And I know that you've been doing that since you were in college. So why is that how is that even possible?
The simplest form is I've never called a pitch of my own.
I'm
So
aware
like
of
when
that.
I'm in high school, my high school coach is calling pitches, right?
Oh, okay.
You get to
Okay. Okay.
college, and like if you shake off your college coach,
So the coach is calling pitch.
yeah,
Okay.
I'd still be running if I shook him off,
Okay.
right? Like
Okay.
you're in trouble, right?
Okay.
That is just like a no. And then I get drafted. I'm a first rounder. I show up to pro ball, and like you don't want to like assert yourself too much, especially as a first rounder when you're new and all this stuff. And so I just kind of went with the flow, and then like I got to the big leagues really quick, and my first catcher was AJ Przinsky. So I'm like,
Can't shake him off.
right?
Nope.
So I mean, I had gone from the time that I had ever first started pitching to all the way to a major league mound and never shook off a pitch. Not that I know of, anyways. And it's weird because I'll sit in the dugout and I'll watch, Holmes pitch, or I'm watching, whoever it is out there on the mound, and I'll call pitches for them. I'm watching the game. I'm like, okay, go here right now. And so it's like I feel like I have the ability to do it, but
You don't want to like exercise that though. You don't want to say, hey, like, how many times has it happened to where like he's called slider or whatever, and you have disagreed with it but threw it anyway?
I don't know if there's ever a time I've disagreed with a pitch, because for me, no matter what he calls, in my mind, I just hit a gear where I'm like, hell yeah,
Okay,
I'm stuffing this thing in
Okay,
there. Like, okay, two-seamer in, heater up, change up away, no matter what it is, in any count, I just go basically hammer down. Like, just throw the best pitch you can.
So,
and another thing too, when I was young, we would go to these pitchers meetings, right? And when I first came up, I was in the bullpen. So it's like you're in the bullpen group, and you're just going over hitters. And I mean, I'm just sitting around, just like I'm just looking around. I'm not. It was tough for me to like pay attention to that. So then when I became a starter, Don Cooper was my pitching coach, and we would have these. It was me, Flowers, or me and AJ and Coop, and it was before the game, and we'd be going through hitters, and I think he noticed me just kind of, I'm over here. So we did that. I forget how many times we did that, but he finally came up to me and was like, hey man, just don't come anymore. Like, I'll take care of it with the catcher. You just get prepared. And I was like, perfect. I remember another time I went to the video room to go watch hitters, right? And I was down there for probably 45 minutes. It was Cleveland. I was getting ready to face Cleveland. And I remember just watching all this video and seeing like, okay, like this was the setup pitch. And I walked out of that room and I remembered nothing. And I'm like, all right, let's just get back to the norm. Let's just, like, for me, the most important thing about this game is competing. If you go out there and you put yourself out there and you put it on the line and you leave everything out there, more times than not, you'll be successful.
And so I wholeheartedly agree with that. But I do have another question. So because you see so many guys shake, and it's like, okay, the catcher suggests this pitch, and they shake because they are fully convinced in this other pitch. Does that come from the flow of the game, or some work that they maybe remember watching video or something? Like, what does that come from?
So I think that's more like scouting report.
Oh,
Like all
okay,
those
gotcha,
guys, it's
gotcha.
like, okay, this guy, and it's like percentages game too, because sometimes you get into 1-1 counts and this guy's going to throw a fastball 72%
Yeah,
of the time
yeah,
or
yeah, for
whatever it
sure.
is, right?
Yep.
So it's like, okay, look out for this.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes guys just have holes, and like
Yep.
especially when you're in a jam, you just kind of hammer that,
Mm-hmm. Whatever
or
it is.
if you have like an unbelievable pitch, like you have just a really good strength and it's a weakness of his, you just hammer that until
Gotcha,
he
gotcha,
gets out or you walk
gotcha.
him.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, and I do want to ask this question because you won a Cy Young last year, and this year, like, what was your thought? How did you feel coming into the year? Because I remember when I won MVP in 18 and coming into 19, because it was like, okay, you've done it. You played great. You had a great season, X, Y, and Z. It was almost like I put my new stand. This is like a new standard for me. Like I raised the bar for myself, and I remember like not living up to that bar, especially early. And I'm like, man, I gotta, I gotta get back. I gotta get back. And it was like, I think it made it tougher for me because I put that expectation on myself. Obviously, on the outside, there was expectations as well. And so I remember going through that season like I had this unreal thing instead of just being who I was before I got there because I didn't have that expectation. And so now you create that expectation in some way, form, or fashion, and it gets hard. And so I want to hear like your perspective on it.
Yeah, well, when you do something like that, like I remember that season you had. I mean, it was ridiculous. So like, but like, who are we as athletes, or who are we as even people to where our baseline now is just being the best, right?
Yeah, yeah,
like,
exactly.
like
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
like that's an unbelievable spot to be in, and that's where I would encourage people to want to be. Like you
So
always want to be. Like when you show up on a daily basis, you want to be the best version of yourself, and that's what we do every day. Um, but what I've noticed is it takes a little bit of the fun away from the game when you put that kind of pressure on yourself. And I mean, my first month of the season, I've been very below average, and
you said it. You said you just hate sucking, and so
yeah.
that's why I wanted to hear.
So it's something where this game is a fine line of being very intense but loose at the same time, if that even makes sense, right? Like you have to be locked in. You can't be aloof. You can't not be focused on like what you're doing, but you have to have a sense of like trust in yourself and
Yeah.
the ability that you bring to the table. So it's
you
like,
can't be hyper focused on it.
yeah, because again, when you try too hard, that's when sometimes you take a step back, and it's like you have to be able to still have fun playing this game. And when it turns into like, man, I have to do this, I have to do this, like that, sometimes you trip and fall, and you're not focusing on the right things.
It gets hard, man. It gets so hard. And so, what did you do, or what thoughts have you had really to kind of keep you not in that same space that I was talking about, as far as not putting that extra high expectation on yourself?
So I just focus on like my in between days, because I know my start day, like I have to be the way I am, and I have to.
But you're pretty loose on start day though. Like you
Before the
talk,
game, yeah,
yeah, you're pretty normal.
yeah. I would say before the game, about an hour before the game is when I start getting kind of focused on my routine and stuff like that. But even then, like if you came up and asked me, it was like, hey, do you want blah blah blah, or like, what do you think about this? Like I
Yeah,
still have
like you still
conversations. I'm
talk.
not like
Yeah,
one of those people that like you can't talk to.
yeah.
Um, I don't know how they do
I
that.
don't know either. I don't
I
know
would be
either.
asleep in the third inning if I locked in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's
um,
so funny. Okay.
so I think I just focused on the in between stuff, having more fun at the field.
Okay.
There were a couple things I had to do mechanically that I
For sure.
wasn't doing. My arm slot was a little lower. Some of the things with my lower body that I wasn't like. There were certain cues that I have to hit to get to the end result, and a couple of things early were just kind of unwinding me before I got to letting it rip. But I just focused on having fun on my in between days. Like no matter like if I'm pitching good, if I'm pitching bad, like I have to be the same guy, and I still want to have fun doing this. I don't want to show up to the park every day. I'm a Major League Baseball player. This should not be miserable. This should not be like, oh, like so. It's like okay, take the expectations away, focus on your work, focus on being a good teammate, and have fun. Try to have a good time out there. And I think that's kind of loosened it a little bit to get back to being successful.
Nice. And of course, you're back to doing what you always do. Okay, so let's go back because I haven't gotten to talk a whole lot about to that 2018 and like that year. And that's something that I feel like we can talk forever about. I remember going into spring training and like, you know, we're pretty good, but you know, whatever Cora had just gotten there. And he came in and it was awesome, you know. Yeah. But you know, I didn't really know anything. And I'm sure, you know, there wasn't much really to think about. And then we started playing spring training. And I think we won a lot of games in the spring. We won a lot of games, and we had just a really good team. And then we started off that season. Well, I think we started off that season
in Tampa.
That's
like that is like the one thing I think of that, like the very first game of that season didn't go our way.
Did not at all.
We are 0-1. We are 3 hours into this season. And people are dropping elbows from the rafters on mind. Oh, yes, because I remember that because after we won, they had like, okay, like read these mean tweets after game one of the season, and people were letting it rip.
Yeah. That was but that was the beauty of Boston because it kind of kept you, you know, it kept you accountable, you know, at all times, and so then we end up going. I think we won like 20 games. We won like 20-4, 20-5, or something like that, and I just remember showing up to the park, and every day was like, we're going to win.
Yeah, that was the expectation.
Every day. And I remember a stretch. Did you get 300 strikeouts that year?
That was in 17. That was the year 17? Before, yeah.
I remember a stretch when it was just like every day we just came and we beat the brakes off of them and we went home. Every day. And Cora had it to where like we were just hanging out. I don't know if you remember hanging out in the clubhouse and all these other things, and we get to playoffs, right? We're just steamrolling. And that going through that playoffs, and not that anything's ever easy.
No.
Nothing's ever easy in this game. But relative to this game, that was one of the smoothest, easiest playoffs I have ever been a part of, as far as like.
So easy is a tough word to use in sports, but I get what you're trying to say. Like there was really no panic, at all, and the playoffs are very pressure. I mean, it's a tense environment, and I think just the way AC ran that team, you know, like there were a couple points throughout the year where, like you look up and you're like, man, we're the nastiest team in the league right now. We're looking down at second place like by a distance, and it like just I remember like to your point, we showed up every day and we're like, it didn't matter who was pitching, didn't matter who we were playing. Like we got you leading off, we got JD bringing the heat, we got young Rafi Devers, Bogey. I mean, it was just name after name after that lineup was relentless. Our starting rotation held it down, and our bullpen we had fuel out there. And but I think just in the way AC kind of handled it, and to our credit, we put ourselves in a very good position as a team. But as kind of the captain of the ship, you got to kind of know when to, you know, how to navigate that. And he was able to kind of rest our starters and give some of our everyday guys a blow here and there down the stretch. You know, you get to August, September, it's a grind.
And it gets rough.
Yeah, and like
it gets rough.
The fact where you can kind of ease off the gas but still be in the lead and know, like, stay focused. Man, that was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
It was crazy.
Then we get to the World Series, and then I remember because towards the end we had gotten thin down in the bullpen. I don't remember. I think somebody gotten hurt or something. I don't remember. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember seeing in the World Series you come out and in the ninth inning, and I'm like, First of all, when I saw you go down there warming up, I'm like, if he touches this ball, the game's over.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, like the game. Look at that. I remember seeing you come out, and I'm like, we won. It's over with. There's nothing they can do about it. Because I played ping pong with you, and I know when you smell blood, it's over with. And so that time, I just remember all. I mean, standing in right field, and I mean, you just took it over by yourself. You're like, guys, we could have sat Indian style, and everything would have been just fine. And I remember after that moment was like, wow, that was a beautiful thing, but like that was like the most stress-free baseball I've played. So and maybe because, and obviously, yes, it was very stressful, right? Yeah. But like with the team and the camaraderie was like, man, we had fun.
Yeah.
Even in that moment, I remember you yelling at us. Take me through that. Remember you screamed at us.
So I do remember that. So and to further the point too is even our front office was locked in, because you look at the guys we brought in.
Mm-hmm.
They had their hands all over that, all over the second half push that we made, and you know Nate had one of the most legendary outings in postseason history.
And Pierce was the MVP.
And
Steve Pierce was MVP of the World Series.
He was up there swinging a freaking boat oar.
Yeah, he was.
So I remember in Game 3, right? We had played that marathon game. What was it? 16 innings.
Yeah, 16.
It was something crazy. And I just remember we lost that game, and again, just to point out Cora's feel, I remember coming in that clubhouse. I mean, we were there for 5 hours, and we walk in. I mean, that was a tough loss to a really good team in the World Series on the road.
Yep.
I mean,
the way we lost,
we had spent every bullet.
Yep.
I remember asking AC after every extra inning, like, when am I going to the bullpen? When am I going to the bullpen? He's like, we need you for tomorrow. Like, we have to keep something.
Yep.
I keep asking him, like, it was every inning. Like, when am I going out there? When do you need me out there? And he just kind of kept like, hey, keep it down. But I remember coming in after that, and I remember just being so like hot after that game. And AC had that meeting with the whole squad, and basically was like, hey, what just happened was unbelievable, and I know we weren't on the right side of it, but I remember like we left that game almost feeling like we didn't even lose that game. It was like a sense of like, all right, like we just lost a game, whatever, let's show up tomorrow. Well, when we showed up tomorrow, like the next day, Game 4, Brian Johnson actually came up to me and was like, dude, we're flat right now. This is a freaking World Series, and we're flat. He's like, I feel like someone should say something. Like something. We have. And
he
to
wasn't
going
to be the guy. He wasn't going to be
get something going. Yeah. So I remember we were down in the tunnel, and I forget exactly like what moment it happened where I was like, okay, like the two wires in my brain touched, the spark went, and I'm like, and I just lose it. And it was basically just along the lines of like, hey, let's pick it up. Like let's be who we are. This is not we're playing flat right now. And you know, there's some more maybe character words behind it, but it was basically like, hey, this is not who we are. We're playing flat. This is not what we've done the whole year, the whole playoffs, or even in these first few World Series games. Like, pick it up. Let's be the team we are.
And did it was just you and BJ? You didn't run this by anybody else?
Not that I remember. I remember him. He came up to me like earlier in the game, and then it was another time, and we just kind of like were like looking back at each other, and I was finally like, all right, man, like this is it. It's going down. It's going down.
I remember when you started yelling, because I think Rich Hill was pitching. He was just shoving.
Yeah, he was.
Shoving.
Yeah.
And I remember when you started yelling, I'm like, why is he yelling?
Yeah.
If he's yelling, something's really going on, because you never did that. You know, no. You were always chill. You're always chill. And I was like, man, well, yeah, exactly. You weren't yelling for nothing. and I just remember And we did. And I don't know that I can't say it
No,
was
I
all
mean,
because of that. But, you know, I think it did get us going like, damn, you know, this is the World Series. I think we were just so used to just cruising that it was going to happen that, you know, we needed a little, you know, smack in the face for a second to wake up.
well, and sometimes there's a couple different avenues of how you can deliver information to people, and sometimes it's like, hey man, like what do you got, like what's going on, and it's like it's a conversation between two people, and sometimes you need someone to come up to you and just kind of like, you know, grab you by the shirt and
Yeah.
say, hey man, like
Yeah. Let's go.
let's go.
Mm-hmm,
And like
mm-hmm.
different people respond to different things differently, obviously, but I just felt like in that moment it was like, okay, like everybody in this clubhouse knows who I am and knows how I operate, and I wouldn't do this if I didn't feel like it was necessary, because that's probably the first time I've ever yelled in a dugout, like at my teammates,
Yeah.
not, you know, at myself
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
about a situation. Um, but yeah, I mean, what happened after that was obviously pretty
It
special.
was a
But
beautiful thing. It was a
um,
beautiful thing.
dude, has Mitch's ball landed yet?
I don't know. I don't know, but that homer was woo. So I want to go back to a young you a little bit because I know people know somewhat about your upbringing, should I say? So where are you from? Florida, right?
Lakeland, Florida.
Lakeland, Florida, and fishing. Did you grow up fishing?
No, I
So
grew up
how
playing
how are
sports.
you from Florida and don't fish? Like how's that?
Because when I was a kid, all I ever wanted to do was play sports. And I remember going fishing as a kid and just, this is all we're doing? Like
That was it.
I was not down with like the relaxing part. Like for fishing, it's more of like, oh, it's very leisurely. I was not leisurely when I was a kid.
All sports.
All day. It was either on a bike, playing basketball, soccer, baseball, what?
Did you play football? I mean,
No.
I'm tiny too, but I put on some pads.
No, I was always really, really skinny as a kid.
Okay,
So I would have got
okay.
snapped in half on a football field.
So baseball.
Especially in Florida. You got to understand,
Oh
like
yeah, Florida. Yeah, I ain't think
and where
about
I
that.
went to high school, like
Yeah.
we were nasty, and so it was like, all right, I'll show up, but I'm not going to play.
So baseball and basketball.
So it was mostly baseball and soccer as a kid. I
Baseball and
never
soccer.
played basketball, like in a league or
Organized or
anything.
anything, you
Yeah,
just
no,
went
never
for it.
organized.
Okay.
And then I played golf growing up a little bit, but then like once I got to high school, it was literally all baseball.
Why did you didn't want to do anything else, or that was baseball was
No,
just something?
so baseball again, like I've played baseball since before I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't even have my first memory of baseball because I was 3, 4, 5 years old, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
was. And I loved the game. Like I'm telling you, I would come home from games and go in my backyard and play. I would wake up in the morning and
Mm-hmm.
play before school. As soon as my dad would walk through the door and I would be standing there at the garage with his glove and my glove, and we were out in the backyard.
Okay.
I mean, it was nonstop. When my friends came over, we were playing in the backyard with souvenir bats and tennis balls.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
literally 24/7.
So you got to high school, and were you good in high school? I mean, obviously relative, right? But
yeah,
good.
I mean, I was good enough, but I was I guess you could say more of like a late bloomer when it came to like figuring out like
Okay.
how this whole thing worked, because I played JV for 2 years and then I was on varsity for a couple of years and was still probably not even the best player on my team.
And you hit in high school, or
Yeah,
okay? So were you a good hitter?
I was all right.
You're all right hitter.
Yeah,
And did you when you got recruited? What schools did you get recruited by?
Gulf Coast.
That was the only one.
That was it. That was the only Division I school that I know of that recruited me.
And you went there, and how was it? I don't know if I ever asked. How was it having spring training right in like your backyard, quote unquote, your backyard? I mean,
It was the best. I basically made two moves. So when I was in Chicago, I still lived down in Fort Myers, Naples area when I was with Chicago. And it was like, we're moving from here to Arizona to Chicago. So like, it was just like this big triangle of moving stuff. Like when I got to Boston, it was like, I get to stay at my house for 2 extra months and I have two moves. It's from here to here and from here back to here. So it worked out. It worked out perfectly.
And so, how often did you, knowing that we were in Fort Myers, How often did you go over to the college to like watch games or just
Quite a
hang
bit,
out?
actually.
Okay.
I mean, we had a couple,
Yeah, I mean, a couple outings
outings
over
over
there
there.
for
We went
sure.
and watched some basketball games. I keep in touch with the head, because the head coach that's there now is the only one that's ever been there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Dave
Okay.
Tillett's been there since day
So
one.
that means he's like he's a legit coach. Like for a coach to stay for somewhere that long, you have to be a really really good coach.
Well, and every time he went to the next level, he got better. Like
Okay.
our
Okay.
first 2 years. So the first year that I went there was our first year of Division One.
Okay.
So it was a D2 school before I got there. My freshman year, we were Division One, and we steamrolled.
Oh wow. Okay.
We
Okay.
went like 28-5 or something like
Oh
that in
wow. Okay.
conference. I
Okay.
mean, it was a smaller conference, but
Doesn't
um,
matter.
yeah, no, that guy's getting a statue somewhere around that university when he's done.
So I will I'll tell you a story a little bit about FGC. So I obviously I was with Boston, the whole beginning of my career. So I was in Fort Myers. I watched Fort Myers like, and obviously you as well. But you remember when nothing was around there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Gulf
And
Coast
like
Town Center wasn't
Gulf
even like
Coast,
all the way built out yet
it
when I
was
first got
it
there.
wasn't like it was on a couple restaurants and now it's a whole new city.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember going over to FGCU, man, and I was 19, 20, 18, 19, 20, going over there and hooping all the time.
Out on the outdoor courts by
Outdoor
the tennis
courts,
courts, yeah.
outdoor courts
Mm-hmm.
by the tennis courts, hooping all the time. And after spring training games or whatever, I would go over there and play. And we ended up making it inside. We hooped so much that we got in contact with one of the guys, one of the players or whatever. We ended up hooping in the gym and everything. And so
The main gym, or did they have the auxiliary?
we both.
Okay.
I felt like I went to FGCU.
Well, you're Mookie Betts, so I'm sure you can pull some strings.
So, but yeah, and then I remember going to a game over there, and so FGCU. It seemed like if you went to that school, you loved it. You
Yeah.
really loved. You know what I'm saying? And so obviously you did, and you. I know you've told the story a million times, but for the people that don't know, DeGrom went to a school similar to yours, right?
He went to Stetson, so we were in the same conference.
Same conference.
Yeah.
So same conference, and he DeGrom then or no, not yet.
No, so not that I remember. I don't remember I'll say this about DeGrom. Yeah, there it is. I think that was his only high school or only college homer too, and he went, bro. When I tell you, he went way back. I hope they show where this ball lands. So that's a road. That was at Lipscomb.
Yeah, that's okay.
I mean that ball. I mean he absolutely
nuked
nuked that ball.
So I mean he was playing short then, right?
Yes. And I don't remember him pitching like obviously like he's pitching now. I'll say this, pound for pound, that might be the baddest dude I've ever seen on a mound.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like pure stuff wise, I mean it's pretty incredible. But
I mean you're pretty up there too, though.
Yeah, but
you're pretty up there too.
I don't know, man.
And especially when you like get mad, because usually you don't pitch mad starting off. Like you pitching it with a calm head.
Yeah.
And then somebody gets on base. Then you start getting I wouldn't call it mad, but I guess hyper focused, whatever it is, and then
you just get that different gear going. Yeah.
So why do you do that? Why do you go? Because you didn't used to do that. Pitch at 93, 92, 94, and then run up to 7-8. Like, is it just because of like wear and tear, or just something that you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because I remember that year in 17, bro. Oh my god, dude! Oh my goodness!
Oh man, that was a good arm too. God, I didn't have this guy then, but
for those who don't know, look up Chris Sale's 2017 numbers, please.
Yeah, that was probably my most dominant year in terms of like just going out there and just. I mean that was different.
It was
different. And now I think now it's just I know I can't. I don't think I wouldn't make it a full season redlining the whole time, right?
Okay.
Like I use this example a lot too, and I think that's why guys are getting hurt a lot now. I mean that's a whole different discussion, but like everybody or most of the time we're pitching at max effort, and I don't think that like I just know I can't maintain max effort balls to the wall 100% for 30 plus starts, 100 pitches per game, all that stuff. So you kind of have to pick your spots, and again, like sometimes I do get hot out there. My motor starts running hot, and you got guys on second and third, and you got one out. It's like, okay, well, now's the time. So it's like, okay, let's strand these runners here, and then you go back out for the next inning, and you start pitching a little bit. But yeah, I just wouldn't be able to maintain that level of intensity through an entire year and stay healthy, I believe.
So what would you say the difference between 2017 Chris Sale is and 2024, 2025 Chris Sale? And I for me, I would say facing, well, I guess I didn't face you in 17, but prior to, like, sometimes you would just outstuff whoever the hitter is. Like, I'm just going to beat you because I'm throwing 99 from the side with a sweepy slider and a nasty changeup, and you just can't hit it. And it's like, now what I see is like, yeah, I can do that same thing at 92 though, like, and make more starts, or whatever. And so now it's like, instead of me just aiming down the middle and throwing my 99, now I'm going to take my 93 and stuff it, and you're still not going to be able to hit it. So I want to hear from what you feel like the difference between you is between these 2 years.
So I would say I just try to be a little bit smarter with how I operate, just in general. Like, I would say last year, I slept more last year than I slept any other. Like, so I worked really hard on recovery. When I was 25, 26 years old,
Taco Bell,
I didn't need to sleep. It didn't matter what I ate. It didn't matter what my routine was. Like, I'd literally go like this 3 times, hand me the ball, and just start flinging that thing at 95, 96. And like, it just came easier. Now there's a lot of things that I have to do throughout the week to get back to 100%. And I'm just smarter, like there were times where, I was very much trying to put, the square peg in the circle hole, and I was just trying to, I'm going to force this to happen, as opposed to like, hey, let's take a step back, take a look at like what the situation is. And sometimes you go in with a game plan, you got to switch it up. And I was like, like you said, it was everything I got all the time. And you're right. Like, I was lucky enough to be able to go out there sometimes and just beat people without having to really compete. You know what I mean? And now it's like, okay, like you got to pitch sometimes. Like, in my last start, I mean, I'm rearing back. I was in Denver, and it was a day game. I'm rearing back for like 93 that day. So it's like, hey man, right? Like, I mean, I'm like grunting on this thing. It's 94, and I'm like, all right, man. Like, it's just not one of those days. So like, you have to adjust. You have to make some different changes in how you operate. And I think I'm better at that now than I was then.
Do you think somebody like, these young guys coming up that are all throwing, sitting 100 all game? And I'm not saying your advice to them or X, Y, and Z, but like, do you think, how long is that really sustainable for them, without, because I feel like guys like DeGrom as well, like, now that he's, his second TJ or whatever, he's come back, now he's throwing 95, 96, and he was like the same guy. Like, obviously his command is elite.
Yes,
even when it was at 100 and 102. But like, now he's gonna have to move it around a little more, X, Y, and Z, because now he's amongst the normal people throwing 95. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's amongst the normal people. Now, can he still sit at 100?
Day that is that 95 is just like,
it's normal.
That's a Toyota Corolla now.
Exactly. And so I feel like guys like him, you guys, like, to have the power but choose not to, because I'm gonna maneuver my way through the game. It's almost like, I'm not going to say it's better, but maybe more efficient in the long run for health. What do you think about that?
No, I agree. I think it's a tough thing, because it's once the cat's out of the bag, it never goes back in, right? And I think with all the analytics, all the numbers that we have, you're always, again, like we talked about earlier, you're always chasing that elite number. You're always chasing your best fastball. You're always wanting the best, the most spin on your breaking ball. And if you have a guy that can throw 98, 99, you're not going to want him to get beat with 92, 93.
Right. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And not only that, just the way this game is kind of operating now, like you can lose your job in a handful of outings, and so it's like you're always wanting the premium of what you can produce. Yeah. And
it's just hard to sustain being premium.
Well, and that's the problem, right? And I use this analogy, right? Like you go buy a brand new car today, whatever car it is, it doesn't matter. And every time you put that thing in drive, just put it to the floor, just pedal to the metal, redline it, and go. I mean, it might break the first time you do it. You might get a couple years down the road before it breaks, but like something is going to happen. Like that's not sustainable. And I think it's very similar to pitchers' arms, where it's like when you're young and you're strong and you have that ability, you can do it for a little while, and you might even be able to do it for quite a while. But eventually, like it's going to stop, and then you got arm problems, and you come back, and then it's never
is the same after that.
Yeah, and it's tough to learn how to pitch 7 years into your career, as opposed to learning how to pitch and then gaining arm speed after that.
I got a question, like, what's next for you? So you've won a Cy Young, won MVP, World Series. You've won pretty much all awards. I mean, what keeps you coming to the park every day?
I still like it. I still have fun. And I think, knock on wood, the worst part about this game for me was being hurt. And I spent a lot of time being hurt, and it really kind of sucked the life out of me. And it becomes, playing baseball is fun. Showing up to the yard every day expecting to win with the boys is a lot of fun. Showing up every day to put needles in your elbow or do some kind of rehab or whatever it is, it's not fun. And I got to a point where it was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like it was just like one thing right after the other, and then like right when I saw light at the end of the tunnel, that light was headlights to a bus. And so it just became this like, okay, when's it going to happen again type of thing. And then, I was able to kind of get over that hump, and it was like, man, this is fun again. So I've kind of come to my place of like, okay, if something were to happen again, or if I can't compete, it's time to go home. If you're not having fun, and if you can't stay healthy, and if you're not doing your team a service, it's probably time to pack it up.
I agree with that, because like now is, once you win, and at first when you come into the league, like, everybody wants to win a Cy Young. Everybody wants to win MVP. Everybody wants to win these awards. And it's like, well, once you kind of do that, like your brain has to really shift and find something. And really, it's like love. It's gonna have to be love in some way, form, or fashion. Whether you love the game, love being around the boys, just love competing. Whatever it is. And I've really found, like, for me, I really just love being around the boys and coming to the yard, and the preparation. I really love preparing. The game itself is like, it's cool. The game is cool. When we're playing the game, like, am I having fun? Sure, some.
Yeah, but you're still like locked in.
I'm locked in. But the fun part for me is like when I'm taking ground balls and when I'm hitting BP, and like, I don't know, maybe that part is just, I just love coming to the park to do. And so,
well, you gotta find a way to not get lost in, again, like, you win an MVP, you win a World Series, a Cy Young, you get these big contracts. Like, you have to keep finding a way to, like, okay, like, that's not the end result that I'm looking for. Like, the chase never stops until you're done, right? And you see, I'm sure you've seen people kind of get caught up in like, oh, I've already done this, so they ease off, right? Or whatever it is that they were chasing, they get. And then it's like, okay, now the chase is over. And it's like you kind of have to run that race every year. And to your point, loving this game is probably going to fuel that more than anything, because if you have a bunch of money, there's no amount of money that's going to get you to be competitive again.
Yeah.
And if winning the MVP was the most important thing to you, then it's going to be hard to bring you back after something like that. So, you know, the passion that you have for this game and just the respect you have for your teammates too, knowing like, okay, these guys are still counting on me. Like I've got this stuff, but like these guys still need me. So it's like, you know, that brotherhood kind of keeps bringing you back too.
Exactly. So, all right, before we wrap up, I want to play a game called Batter Up. I would say I'm cold at this game. Like I'm elite at this game.
All right.
This is my game. So
it's your podcast. You better be good at this game.
Right. This is for you. I want to see if you know about it, since you don't really watch guys, and so you may not be all the way up to all the new swings. You watch the game, so you'll probably know something. But look at who is that? And you got these guesses. I already know who it is.
I know who it is. Is that Freddie?
No, no. That's a guess, though. How many guesses does he get, guys? Okay.
Oh, I got none of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so this is I've seen this game. I don't play this game, but
you can guess all the age, position.
So what is that line? So that means he doesn't play for the Dodgers.
He's number. Yeah, you didn't get any of those right. So he doesn't.
Congratulations.
No. So his number is the first category. Then team. Then that's division.
Okay.
And then he was born.
Well, that really narrows it down to nothing for me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You got nothing. So you're starting with a clean slate.
I feel like I know like that bat.
You get 6 guesses. So now you got 5 guesses. But.
So he's not on the Dodgers, so I got to go.
You're not going to get his number. You're not going to get his age.
He's still playing?
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh yeah. That's a sweet swing too.
It is a nice swing.
Golly, hey, you don't know that? Yeah, you don't watch me. Yeah,
dude. Sometimes I don't even know who I'm facing. I'm being completely serious. I'll go through a whole lineup and be like,
that's what it does. That's how the league is now, though. There's so many young guys up and coming.
Is he a young guy?
No, this guy's not. Yes, you definitely have. You definitely have.
Oh no,
you definitely have.
Dude, I'll be honest. I have no idea.
Okay. All right, so I'll help you. He's with the Astros.
Oh, Alvarez.
Yeah.
He'd have a few less homers if I didn't face him.
That's it.
Hey, that is a
Jordan.
Very, very powerful swing.
That is a very powerful swing.
That's a big boy up there swinging.
They can't stump me on this. So, sorry guys. I mean, nice try, but you got him though. You got him.
Yeah, I was stumped. Yeah. So I know Freddie does like the flat.
He does.
Doing that. Like once it wasn't Freddie,
they wouldn't put Freddie on here because that would be too easy. But anyways, my man Seller, thanks for coming on the show, bro. I feel like we have a special bond, obviously, from playing this beautiful game of baseball together, winning the World Series together. I feel like we're like, quote unquote, we're going to do life together because, through this game, you build so many relationships with people and, the kids and seeing everybody. I want to see Rylan. How old is he now?
He turns 15 in 2 days. And
I don't remember the other babies' names, but Rylan was always there.
Well, Rylan was the only one, that you saw, I guess. Well, Brayson was born in 19, like late in the year. So you would have only met him in spring training. Mm-hmm. And then Camden, he's 5. 3 boys, man. It's crazy.
So that's like that's a house full of do they all play like all of sports?
Yeah, my youngest son is more of like swimming, riding his bike, more adventurous type of stuff. But the other 2, it's baseball, it's basketball, pickleball, golf, everything. We got everything at the house.
So you're gonna like how much longer you want to play? Do you know? Do you want to be the 42-year-old? You know what I'm saying, 43 up there, or you don't know yet?
If my arm stays together and I can still go out there and compete, I'll play until someone says they don't want me on their team.
Yeah.
So I mean, and maybe that might be a little exaggerated, but
no, I know what you mean.
Again, like I had this game and then I got it taken away. I just got it back last year,
so
you know. So it's like this is fun for me again, and I kind of want to do this, you know. If I'm serviceable and someone thinks I can do it, and no crazy injuries, I'm in.
All right, brother. Yes, sir. Well, I will see you at the field again. Thanks for coming. Tell Bree, tell everybody I said what
Absolutely.
up. Hopefully she got to watch. So, but anyways, we'll see you guys next time on Base.